Our first and only morning in South Carolina. We spent the morning at swampy Congaree National Park, then drove back roads to Georgia. In my home state, we spent a few days off the road, visiting friends and family and preparing for the next part of this journey. Google Maps was more inaccurate and confusing than helpful, but that just meant we got to see more of cute Orangeburg as we drove around in circles. Eventually we found the road to a spot just outside of town, Congaree National Park, the first actual national park since Big Bend in Texas. I keep wanting to call Congaree a swamp, but I'm not sure that's accurate. The visitor center doesn't seem to quite know either. The Congaree River runs along the southern edge of the park, and what Congaree actually is a floodplain. A few times a year, big rivers flood, and the runoff spills over into this area, first in various creeks and rivulets and then over the ground when those fill. The wet environment promotes the growth of a huge variety of trees and other plants, and also lots of species of animals. It's a superb example of a large and biologically diverse ecosystem. South Carolina once had over 1 million acres of floodplains like this, but starting in the 19th century, logging operations, then reservoirs, destroyed nearly all of them. As it happened, one prominent logger decided to leave the Congaree area alone, and later in the 1950s, a conservationist and hunter called Harry Hampton started pushing to officially protect the area. It was designated a national monument in 1976 and then upgraded to a national park in 2003. After a blood sugar check, 198, good for before a hike, it was time to see Congaree up close. Similar to Barataria Preserve in Louisiana on day 23, we saw Congaree via a wooden walkway that winds through the trees. It's 2.5 miles long, and along the way you see the biological diversity that makes Congaree such a special place. park brochure lists just some of the species of trees you can see, all of which have cool names. Water tupelo, American elm, cherry bark oak, and the mighty loblolly pine. These behemoths can grow to almost 170 feet tall. Much later on this trip, we'll be seeing the gigantic sequoias and redwoods of California. But as it turns out, South Carolina is giving them a run for their money. And you can see why it's thought of as a swamp. It sure looks like southern Louisiana to me. But then, some sections are on solid ground. As much as any national park we've seen so far, Congaree is forever changing. Many of the tall trees here have shallow roots, which is what these things called knees are part of. But when the trees topple over, a half-acre hole in the canopy can appear. In the new sunny spot on the ground, smaller plants start growing, and some of them grow taller and taller and block the sunlight again. The process keeps continuing. A tree falls somewhere else, and whenever you visit, you're seeing only what's going on right now. The green patches of undergrowth you notice now will be different soon. Congaree is also a photographer's delight, full of colors, shapes, textures, and busy creatures. The weather had been perfect and my blood sugar was 88. I took a couple of glucose tabs because I thought it might still be dropping a bit from all the walking, and we stopped by the visitor center again to get our pin. Third NPS site in a row with no tokens. I hoped we'd find them again, but it didn't seem good. Anyway, the morning in Congaree National Park finished, we drove away through the pretty southern pine trees. The next few days were, again, mostly spent off the road. First a couple of days in the town I grew up in, Augusta, Georgia, visiting friends and canoeing. Then at my mom's house north of Atlanta for a few days. The drives on these days were over roads super familiar to me. From Augusta to Athens, the countryside is rolling hills, pretty lakes, and well-maintained roads. Many times as a student at the University of Georgia in the 90s, I drove between those cities, often listening to REM. And when you first arrive here in Athens, here's the steeple of the famous old ex-church where the band played its first show in 1980. Also, while in Athens, we had to stop at an Enterprise to re-up the car for the next 30 days. They offered us the chance to pick a newer, perhaps larger car, but I said no thanks. This one had brought us here from California, and I didn't want to abandon our friend now. It was still trucking along with us, every mile. In addition to resting with my family for a few days, we were also waiting for a couple packages to arrive. More one-drop blood sugar strips, a new bigger opaque tint, a glare filter for my dash cam, and something I should have been wearing this whole time, a diabetes medical necklace. It's nice to be home again, but, to use a phrase I've always relied on in life, the road calls. On day 37, rested and with our new supplies, we'll be back on the small highways, first through northern Georgia and then to the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina. The destination is our next national park and our first experience with the new tint, deep in the rainy, mysterious Great Smoky Mountains.